Alrighty, so today I'm going to talk about the rudder system. And I've kind of run into a bit of an issue because it's going to be enclosed. Typically, what you have is you have the tiller coming in from the rudder into the cockpit of the boat. But since I'm going to be enclosed and I want to minimize as much water, moisture that's getting inside, something that Captain Sven Irvin commented about was when he had lines running from the rudder just straight into the boat, what he'd get is that the lines would wick in moisture and cause problems there, which is why his design now is a fully kind of enclosed. His keel comes up in the inside the boat and then is sealed off. The shaft comes all the way up past the water line and gets sealed off there. That's how he's remedied the situation. I don't want to alter this to that extent. That kind of goes beyond my math skills. Trying to alter the design of something that's got a rudder on the stern and then moving it inboard. So I'm looking for a solution that allows me. Plus, I like the idea of having a kick-up rudder, just because I'm going to probably be going aground on beaches, in areas. If I hit something, I have it's not going to break it. It's going to kick it up, cause it to spin up or pivot up. So currently, I think I'll keep the stern mounted rudder and just try to find the solution here. The solution I think I've found is, so if I make the rudder shaft, instead of what it typically is the rudder is going to be flat like this with layers of foam board and then fiberglass. So what I'll do instead is I'm going to make a G11 fiberglass rod, really thick one, probably 3 inches, maybe 3 inches across. And so this will be fiberglass G11 fiberglass rod going down, and then the rudder will be mounted to that, and then there will be wider tubes. So these blue sections here will be the wire tubes. So the rod will slide up into those tubes. There will be several ways of kind of fixing it in place so that it doesn't fall out. One will be a pin here with a washer of some kind of material for friction. And then the other one will be so that whatever cap I have that goes to the tiller will probably end up sitting above that. It's kind of hard. I guess you can kind of see it better here. So the tubes will end up here, and then the cap will sit on top of those tubes. I'll put some kind of material in between for friction, and then the tiller goes in. So the tiller will be probably shorter than what it's supposed to be, and it'll be encased in not encased, but there will be a pocket in the stern of the boat. So at the very stern of the boat, there will be this kind of pocket that'll have I'll put some kind of it'll be enclosed so that, I'll bolt a door to it, essentially, a compartment door allows me to access it. So this pocket here is going to be fully enclosed, except for, it will be fully enclosed. And then the tiller comes in here. So this is looking down. And so this will be cut out because the tiller, when it swings all the way over, it's going to have to swing all the way over here. So there will be, the walls, it'll be cut out to allow the tiller to move, and then there will be a wall that'll go out towards the edge of the tiller. And then on top of that will be basically a cap that can be bolted around it. So it kind of will look like this. So the the G11 rod will sit in here. The tiller will be up here. It'll swing side to side. And then on the outside will be where I screw it in place, essentially. And I'll put some kind of probably butyl tape, plumber's tape, so that it'll be watertight. And then on the inside of that cap, there will be rubber gaskets that will seal against those tubes that will kind of act as the bearings. And what that does is it creates basically a whole watertight seal on the whole thing. The only way water is going to be getting inside this will be up through here, and then there will be gaskets that'll be sealing it off. But it'll be pretty tight spacing all the way up in here. So there's not going to be very much room for water to get up in here. So that'll keep this fairly dry. And then what happens from there is once I figure out how I'm going to do this, there'll be some kind of line with pulley systems that'll be attached to the edge of that, and then they'll lead into the rest of the boat. So there will be lines attached to the tiller and onto a pulley system to give the leverage, and then those lines will come into the boat from there, and those ropes will adjust the angle of the rudder back and forth. And the way these will be the G11 pipes that the rudder will slide up into. This is like the stern panel of the boat. So this section right here, these pipes will be, these pipes up there, like that, those right there. So this is kind of what we're looking at. So the idea of fixing these to this, so there'll be it'd be the G11 panel and then 1708 fiberglass layered on top of that. And then what I'll do is I'll drill holes, and then I can, with thickened epoxy, I'll take these tubes and I'll put them to onto the stern panel. And then what I'll do is I'll either take fiberglass strips, or I'll do what Captain Irwin does, and I'll take a rope soaked in epoxy, and I'll put those around, and I'll put those all the way through, and then they'll splice out the ends and put, epoxy them down to the hole, and then put a layer of thin fiberglass across that. And then on top of everything else, then I'll put another layer of fiberglass across the tubes to make sure that, I think that's going to be, an extremely strong mounting point. And that'll be able to deal with a whole lot of pressure from the leverage that the waves cause on the rudder and all of that. But it's not the most. I'm still trying to figure this out. I'm like because the problem with this is I have a mizzen mast coming out somewhere around here is the mizzen mast, and then another pole is coming out the stern from this direction, because that's what attaches to the mizzen mast. There will be a pulley system on that to tension the sail on the mizzen mast. So it kind of acts as a boom. It's not the boom, but it acts like it. So I gotta figure out how much room I have in between the mizzen masts and the stern of the boat, and then how much leverage I can get in there. So it's still a work in progress, but I think this is probably a good solution that I have so far. I'm trying to think of a different kind of mechanical advantage contraption that I can put in here that is extremely simple. I mean, you can't beat a lever and some pulleys as simplicity, but I feel like maybe I could come up with something else. And this is slanted. This floor of this compartment is slanted just to allow water to go back out. So it'll be little holes drilled here. So if any water does get in here, either from, just seeping in from the top or whatever, pressure from waves, splashing onto it, any water that does get in here, moisture buildup, whatever, it'll pool down here and then drain out from there. The question, the good question would be, well, these will essentially be supporting there, but then this will be all unsupported. And so I got to figure out if that's going to create a problem by having that unsupported. Do I need to come up with something that's going to be down here? Because the problem, first problem, usually you just put a hinge right here in the middle. But if I'm using this rod, the pivot point is the center of that rod, which kind of puts it in an awkward position as far as trying to put something else down here. So figuring out some kind of a hinge system down here that still pivots off of this pivot point, that's something else. So still a work in progress, but this is so far what I've come up with, and it seems to be a pretty good solution. But we'll see. Anyone has any better ideas or any suggestions, let me know. Until next time, have a good one.